All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Recked podcast. This is episode 2, and we got the one and only Mr. Steph Myers here. Is this your first pod?
This is my first pod ever.
Damn.
So I had to show out for LT because he's the boy. And I don't know, it's going to be exciting. So
Yeah.
sorry if I stutter or say like a lot, but it should be fun.
Yeah, so we actually had a photo shoot like last week, and me and Steph had to drive to get there. It was like 4 or 5 hours, something like that.
Yeah, because we left at like 5 p.m.
Yeah, we left at probably the worst time you could in LA, and we were just sitting in traffic, and obviously 4 or 5 hours you talk a lot about shit, and we were just talking. I remember and then I was doing the podcast, and I was like, yeah, I think me and Steph got to continue that conversation we were having in the truck, so
Yeah.
should be a good one. But yeah, for those who don't, I did say last pod, I don't want to make this like a life story podcast, but this is Steph's first pod, so I do kind of want you to introduce yourself, who you are, what do you do, where you're from.
So basically, I'm from Connecticut. I'm 21 years old, and I started lifting I started messing around in the gym for like hockey and that kind of thing when I was probably 13 years old. And I started really getting into it probably like a year later when I was like 14. And yeah, I played hockey up until I was 17, and I stopped to do this full time. And yeah, it's been like a hard process, but you know, with all things that are.
You're 22 now?
Yeah, I'm about to turn 22 on Saturday.
Yeah.
So.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Birthday week.
Yep.
Yeah. So so Steph is new to LA, right?
Yep.
And you went full time with fitness a while ago, but now you're really committed to it by moving to LA.
Yeah.
So how has that transition been coming out here?
Well, it's been pretty good so far. LA is just, it looks like real glamorous from the outside, and then you move here and then you realize me and LT were talking about it before. We're kind of just doing the things that we were doing at home, but
different scenery.
Yeah, but just like with different things going on around us. It is what you make of it, and I think that's a big thing, is that you got to put yourself out there, and you just got to self-advocate. Like you really got to put yourself in the position to have those opportunities come, instead of just like sitting around and hoping something's just going to come your way just because you're in LA.
I do hate that stigma, like everyone in Los Angeles is fake and like relationships are fake.
Yeah, it's not true.
That can go for anywhere.
Yeah.
Like literally anywhere you move, that could be the case, but like it's who you surround yourself with. And I think that you are a product of your environment. I know that's like heard a million times in podcasts and everywhere, but like really no matter where you are, like the outcome of your success in that place is going to boil down to who you're with every day. Because that generic ass quote, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, or something like that. So out here, who have you found yourself spending time with, and what's your day-to-day look like?
My day-to-day is like, since I'm bulking especially now, that takes up so much of my day. I probably get up, eat, and then if I have anything to post on Instagram, and then I go to the gym, eat again. Honestly, probably eat before I go to the gym, eat again after the gym, and then it just sucks when you make like all your own meals, because obviously you want to save money out here in LA. And I'm cooking most of the time, and then at night just editing, and I spend a lot of time by myself, honestly. Just out here, it's like, I have some friends, and it's just like I'm here to work, so sometimes it's hard to like find that time to just like go and chill. Especially out here, I feel like my mind is in this mode where like, all right, like I'm paying to be out here, I'm paying to be in LA, like I gotta make my money worth its while. Like I see it as an investment by living here, instead of just like, oh, I'm just living, like let me get comfortable.
Yeah, well, it forces you to have to make it work.
Yeah.
Because you kind of give yourself no plan B.
Exactly.
Like I just got this new apartment, I'm doing all these things, and I'm like, well, if I want all this to last, and if I want my job to last, and I want to be successful, like I gotta fucking work harder. So it's kind of I would say I did get comfortable for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Just because because my weeks all look the same, so you kind of just fall into this hamster wheel. But how do you like? What's a daily habit that you have to try to keep that motivation going? Keep you from not getting comfortable?
I feel like the biggest thing is I think about the people like back home. Like I feel like, you know, one of my biggest motivators is my mom. Like she's just always been my biggest supporter, and I just want to put her in a better position financially and just be able to like take care of her one day. And sometimes when I'm comfortable, I'm like, dude, like you need to get on, like you need to get on it. You need to work, because how are you going to be able to do this for your mom if you're just like sitting around on your ass, like watching TV and playing video games all day?
Yeah, I try to remind myself that all the time. It's like your problems now are like you wouldn't even think that they would exist like 5 years ago. Like, oh, I'm so stressed. All these YoungLA videos I got to edit. It's like, hold up, you work for YoungLA?
Exactly.
You know, like, that's why you got to always, I try to remind myself, like, remember why you started. Like, your stress now is not, you're like, you should be thankful for this stress. This is like cool stress. Like, you're stressed about all these cool people you got to work with and like, oh, this shoot's 2 hours away. Motherfucker, you're like, this is your dream. You know, like, it's, you got to take a second to like think about that. And going back to my question, I was like, daily habits, it's like, to me, this right here has became like a savior for me. It's like writing things down. I think every day when I wake up, if I make a task list for myself, if you try it, you'll see like you're like way more on top of things, and you're more, I don't know how to explain it, but like you kind of have this schedule in your head, and like everything else is like a distraction until you cross out each thing. So, and it's also the best feeling ever at the end of the day when like everything's crossed out.
I feel like especially
you feel like fulfilled.
Like being your own, not to cut you off, but I feel like especially being your own boss, it's hard too, because that in itself can make you like super comfortable. And for me, I've always needed like a direction. Yeah. So like I think doing something like that, like setting a list of, okay, I need to do this, this, and this, and then say I get all that stuff done before the end of the day, then I can just chill. Yeah, it's everyone's goal is to be their own boss, right? And I feel like it's easy to say that when you're in that position of like working a job you don't like and you got someone telling you what to do. But then when you get to the point where you are your own boss, it is more pressure than you've ever experienced having someone down your neck telling you what to do, because it's all up to you. And that's like something that I'm still trying to adjust to is, you know, like you have to get yourself up out of bed. You have to make yourself do the extra work. You got to put the extra hours in. Like I don't get extra pay for sitting at my desk any longer. You know what I mean? Like, and so for you, what like what's your daily driver? Like what's your, you know, like just to get stuff done, like, or like what motivates me, or
kind of just, how do I word this? Like in your own eyes, do you feel like you're your own boss in the position that you're in right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Obviously, I work for YoungLA and Gorilla, so like I feel like, you know, Gary and like Derek, like I want to make them happy.
Well, they're the bosses of the companies, but in terms of like
my own stuff and my own growth, definitely. I think me, because it's like you worded it really well, like about the pressure thing. I think one of my like biggest fears, and I think many of you guys feel the same way, is like failing. I really don't want to fail. And I think just that pressure every day, especially if I'm like slacking off or getting comfortable, like we were talking about, it's like I almost can't even let myself be comfortable, because I'm like slacking off, but then in the back of my head the entire time I'm just thinking about, dude, you could be posting a video, dude, you could be working on a video, like I could be editing, I could be doing this, I could be posting a picture, I could do TikTok or whatever. And it's like I almost 24/7, I have this stressor in the back of my head. So I think when I do like edit and post a video, it's crazy, like the feeling of relief I have. And it's like, oh, I can actually like decompress and relax now, versus when I'm slacking off or watching TV when I know I need to be doing something else.
Do you ever feel fully disconnected from the grind? Because I know me, I always, like even when I'm like doing something, I'm out to eat with my girlfriend or something, it's still there. I'm still thinking like, I gotta finish that video. We have a shoot on Tuesday. I didn't plan it yet. And that it's tough, bro. But are you able to fully disconnect, or are you always thinking about your next move?
I think one of the biggest things that helps me, and I don't know if I'm completely disconnecting, but it's always been there in my life, and that's why I try to make it my job, is just going to the gym and like lifting weights is like the only time I feel like I really can disconnect from reality and just like focus on my brace and my breathing and just like feeling the contraction of the muscle. And I know it's not that deep for some people, but for some people it is.
Because you're disconnected mentally.
Yeah.
But you're working.
Because
you're grinding.
I have ADD, so it's like my head's just go, thinking about a million things all the time. Like sometimes like my girl will be speaking and I'm just like, I feel bad because like, bro, I'm thinking about like 20 years into the future and stuff. And like I was laughing last night, I was doing that. And like, I was just thinking about like me as an old dude, like vlogging with my homies and stuff. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Like I got to be in the moment, like be present.
Yeah.
So I think going to the gym just like keeps me sane in a way because I really feel like I can finally just like not think about those thoughts for like a good hour and a half.
I know it's hard to think about, but going back to what you just said, it is scary to think about. Like, how long can this last?
Yeah, that's
influencer lifestyle. Not just you, not like everybody.
Yeah, everyone.
It's like, are you going to be 45 posting, hey, new drop, like new creatine coming out? It's like you got to adjust with the time. So what's like your next step? Like what's something that you want to do for yourself and want to start a business or something like that?
Yeah, I think just putting my money into like physical assets, like real estate or like my parents have experience with that. So I got to talk to you about that before because you're right. Like this is not going to last for forever. And fitness comes and goes. Like it comes in waves. Like there's the Gymshark era, now it's the YoungLA era, and then it might come up with someone else, whatever. You don't know. But it'll always be there. It becomes a trend and then it's not a trend and then it's a trend. So, I mean, I think there is a little bit more longevity than people understand right now. I think the certain type of fitness content that's being posted right now is like a trend and will probably go away within the next couple years. But I think it'll always be here just because there's always going to be like the next generation to be inspired and motivated. And if you know how to incorporate yourself well into the industry, like there are ways to do it. But for me, I honestly just want to like rack up as much money as I can and then put it into like a real estate business and then kind of just like still continue to make videos for like my followers and stuff, but just not have that, make it more fun and not have that pressure of like, I need to do this to eat. I need to do this to put food on my table, put gas in my car.
I think it's almost like strategy is like someone your age really take this time to like go hard and like use yourself as a billboard, like promote everything that you're working with, all your brands that you're working with. And like you said, save up as much money as possible and then put it towards something that's going to be long-term. Right now, it's hard to think about that, you know? Like, especially when we're like day to day, we're fucking grinding, we're next drop, this, that. But I want to take it all the way back to like when you made that commitment to fitness, like full-time, commitment to be an influencer full-time. What was that like? What was it like with your family? Did they understand? I think a lot of people are probably in that position where they want to make that jump. So what was that like for you?
That was, it was easy in the sense of like, it felt like this is what I'm supposed to do. And I know not a lot of people like have a direction. Like my friends back home, like some of them, they just graduated college and they still don't really know like exactly what they want to do. And that's completely okay. But I feel like I was blessed at a young age to figure out that I knew I always wanted to do content. And it started from a passion of like gaming. Like I used to post gaming videos and stuff, and then I got bullied for that. But I kept doing it anyways because like you just learn that you become resilient. And that passion transferred into fitness content. And I think when I was like around 17 or 18, it was during COVID, and I went to college for maybe a little bit under a month or just about a month. And it was all online, so it kind of sucked. And I would just sign into class and then like go back to bed.
Bro, that was the worst. I couldn't imagine being in college.
Yeah.
No graduation, right?
Yeah, no graduation either because I was 2020 graduating class. And then I actually got picked up by Gorilla when I had like maybe 10K followers on Instagram.
Oh shit. Who reached out to you?
And Derek. I reached out to him originally a couple months before, and I was like, bro, like I'm a college student, like I'm broke, like could you please send me like some of your products? There's only 3 or 4 athletes maybe.
2020. Oh yeah, this is like
2020.
Oh, so you're like OG.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like I've been around for a while. I've never exploded. Like I've never like blown up. I've just like had a steady growth. Yeah. And Derek, I've never DM'd somebody like that, but something came over me and was just like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? And so in the morning, I wake up to this like response, and he's like, "Oh, bro, like honestly, like I'll just send you the whole lineup because I only asked for the pre." And I was like, "That's so sick."
What they have at the time? What was it like? Mode?
It was just mango peach mode, and then the smooth and rush, And then I think they had nitric as well. And then that was it. And then a couple months later, he's like, hey, bro, like, what's your number? I want to like go over some things with you. And I kind of assumed that that's what it, I had other offers from like My Protein and stuff, but Gorilla was the one I wanted to be with. Yeah. And it was just sick because I only had like 10K followers, and Derek was like, honestly, bro, like, I just see like a good future for you, and you just seem like a good kid. So we want to like give you this opportunity. And I was just like, that was just crazy for me because I've been grinding probably for 3 years before that point. I started when I was like 16.
Was that your first like opportunity that you were given?
Yeah. I mean, I had other opportunities, but they were really bad. They was like, 50% off, and you can like with like My Protein and stuff. But that was the first like, okay, you're gonna get free product and like you'll get commission as well.
And you could grow with the company.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew at that time they only had like 3K on Instagram. I had more followers. And like, crazy. Yeah, so I was just like, but they had, James, Lexx, Aaron, and there's a couple other people. Yet? They might have had Sush as well, and I think it was only like 4 or 5 athletes they have, which was so crazy to me. Like I was like, because I didn't feel like, they didn't have 200 athletes, and I was just another guy.
And at that time, did you know who Lexx was?
Yeah, we had like talked in the DMs before, and like I'd met him like once before at an event, but we weren't like friends yet. And that was just crazy. And then kind of like a week after maybe I got that, I was like, I kind of told my parents, hey, like, this is just kind of my sign. Like I didn't want to go to college anyways.
I'm fucking out of here.
Yeah, like Gorilla Mind, I'm set. I was making like $50 a month on commission. But it was just, I never wanted to go to college. So it was one of those things where it was just that like, all right, this is telling me I can do that. If this company and Derek, I'd been following Derek for a really long time. And if like somebody like that can believe in me, I was like, I'm just gonna full send it because I'm the type of person that needs to like have their focus.
It kind of opens the doors. You're like, oh shit, who else can I attract?
Exactly.
Like, from my social media.
Because back then it's like I didn't really think much of myself in terms of like value because I didn't really, I only had. It was kind of
different. Just social media was kind of different back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same as it is now.
Exactly. And like it was more like a company could see you more as like a value and like growth opportunity instead of just like how many sales.
Yeah, well, them seeing the value in you kind of made you feel a little more like valuable in yourself.
100%. And that's why I've stuck with them for this long because like they hold it down, like they're the best. And that for me was just like it. And then I told my parents, and my mom was like, she's my biggest supporter, but she really wanted me to go to college because she just wanted me to have that degree. And I understood where she was coming from. And my dad actually, who we might talk about more in this podcast, but he actually supported me really well with like not going to college or just taking at least like a gap year or something like that because he's actually a phys ed teacher and a health teacher, and he's a coach for wrestling. So he was like, when you're 18 years old, like you don't really know what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Cool though, hearing it from someone who's in like the educational system.
Yeah,
say that.
Which I think because he really got it because he teaches like seniors and stuff, and he's like they don't know what they want to do yet. Most of them don't.
Thinking about the weekend, they're not thinking about like, oh, my future. I got to set myself up.
Exactly. He's like, I think everybody honestly should have a gap year to really find themselves after school.
Yeah. Well, I did 2 years, and then at a junior college, and I was like dying to go to a 4-year school and finish, and my parents were like, just go to work, because I really wasn't in school for anything. I was getting like a liberal arts like psychology degree. It was just I was playing baseball. That's why I was in college.
Yeah,
that's literally was it. So I feel like people can relate on both sides of that. It's like I was in college and then went to work. You kind of were deciding if you wanted to go to college.
Yeah,
and you took that gap year. So this is 2020, right? So I think you did the right thing no matter what, because there was probably. Right? There was no class anyway.
Yeah, I really don't, even if I continued to go, I don't think I would have even for that month I was in college, I wasn't going to any classes.
Yeah. So after that, how did the grind change? When it was time to like, all right, I'm taking a year off, now I have to go like fucking hard as fuck.
It was sick because this new gym had like opened up and they were cool with like recording and all that stuff. And so I started going there, and then I got a new camera. And it's funny, like me and Joe were talking about it before, but I used to work landscaping for my dad, and I still worked it then because that was my only source of income. I made maybe $50 to $100 a month with Gorilla, just off of commission. And I would just grind landscaping, and my dad would let me, like, I'd be like, hey, like, I want this camera, could I just like pay it off by like working? And he'd be like, yeah. So he'd buy it, and then I'd like work for him for like a month, and then I'd have it paid off.
Financed.
Yeah, and like people don't know about, like, people don't understand that that's what it takes, you know? I didn't have any money back then. Like, I had like maybe $500 in my bank account, and I just had my dad do that. And then I had one of my buddies that like loved to film, and he wanted like the practice and all that stuff. So he started filming for me, and we'd live together. So we just started doing that at my gym. And then I started, Lexx moved out here, and I started hanging out with him more. And he actually invited me to come out, and Gorilla flew me out, which was sick. So the first time I ever came here, Gorilla flew me out, and me and Lexx hung out, and that was like the first time I got placed in front of like a really big audience, because I had never really been like on anybody else's channels before.
So did that start online, you and Lexx, the relationship?
Yeah, so we had met through like a mutual friend, and then we met in person.
On that trip?
Yeah, so we actually met in person twice. We went in person in the Arnold Classic 2020, which is like, they call it like the COVID Classic, because it's like literally 2 days before the Arnold, they canceled it, but everybody already had their flights, so everybody went anyways. And Lexx was there with like Gymshark and stuff, and I had met him. And like me and Lexx kind of butted heads, because I think we were like very similar, and he had this like kind of thing where he's like, like, who's this like young buck, or like, who does this kid think he is? And then I'm just like, I don't care who you are, you know? So like, and then I think that was like refreshing to him, because he's like, all these people are coming up to him asking him to take pictures and everything, and I had him spot me on this bench PR. And then I just sensed his energy. He just didn't really like mess with me, so I walked away, and he was just like, what? Like, and I think that was really refreshing. So he walked over to me, started working out next to me and stuff. And then a couple months,
brotherly love.
Exactly. That's how all great friendships start, I feel like. And a couple months later, I went to visit one of my buddies, and he lived in Michigan, and Lexx lived in Ohio at the time. And then we had hung out and lifted together. And then Lexx was like, man, I fuck with you. And I'm like, yeah, bro, you're pretty cool, bro. And then like we started DMing and like gaming together. And then when he moved out here, he invited me. And that was like the first time I'd ever been in like somebody with a lot of subscribers YouTube video. And then everybody was like, who's that kid? Like, Steph's funny, bro. Like, who is this guy? And
that's how I like knew you, was through Lex's videos.
Yeah.
Like, this guy by himself is funny as fuck. And it was like cool to see you guys together, because kind of bounced off each other really well.
Yeah, and I think that's why, because my YouTube videos before that, it's so hard when you're starting out, like, you don't have that confidence.
Yeah.
And it's hard to just talk to this hunk of metal like in front of you and pretend like and just convey your own personality. And like, that's something I really struggled with. But when I was hanging out with Lexx, it was just easy, because it's like I'm just hanging out with him, like shooting the shit, and then there happens to be a camera recording.
Yeah. You need that person that you could bounce off of.
Exactly.
Even like this, like, dude, like starting my own podcast is kind of not scary, because I have a podcast with tons of episodes already, but like now that I'm the one steering the ship, you know, I gotta kind of conduct it.
Yep.
It's a little intimidating for sure, but like you gotta just treat it like you're just having a conversation. I think that goes the same way with social media. Like, so when you first started, you're saying you kind of didn't have the balls to like walk in the gym and record, or you were?
Yeah, well, so what I would do is, by myself, I don't think I'd ever recorded a video like on my own. I'd have to have like one of my buddies, like that buddy I told you about, and it was a little bit easier, because it was like
talking to a person.
Yeah, and then also when you have your friend there, you don't feel like as awkward about like there being a camera there, because you're like, like, we're in this together type of thing. Like, it's like whenever you get into like some type of like mischief or like whatever with a friend, you're like, I got more confidence. Yeah. So I think that really helped. And yeah, I think just seeing the response from like Lex's viewers in his video, like reading all the comments, and just seeing like, like Steph's funny, whatever, all this stuff, it like made me really like gain this newfound sense of confidence. And I'm like, I can really just be myself in front of the camera, and like people fuck with that. Because when you start out, you really try and like emulate all the people you look up to, but nobody can do them as well as they can do them. So like, obviously David Lade is a lot of our inspirations for like this new generation of influencers. And you know, I tried to like sprinkle in a little bit of David, a little bit of Lexx, and try and make this own personality, but it's like they can only do them as well as they can do them. People are going to go watch them for them.
Nobody could do you better than you. Like, you start to realize that. You start to realize like, people just fucking me when I'm just myself.
Yeah.
When I'm not trying to make a video that's different, or like a video like Jesse James West or something. Like you're trying to emulate someone else. That's something I'm still like trying to figure out. You know,
Me too. Yeah.
it's still tough to like, because you feel like your true self when the cameras are off,
Exactly.
right? I still feel that way, and I feel like when the cameras are on, I'm still myself, but I'm like kind of trying
There's a little
to,
filter.
Yeah, there's like a filter. There's kind of like me trying to talk a little differently or portray like different attitude. I don't know, but I think that as time went on, like you get a little more comfortable with it, and also the feedback. I'm sure you got positive feedback.
Oh yeah.
I used to get comments from like Sushi's videos, like, "Oh, yo, we fuck at LT," like,
Yeah.
and it really it does boost your confidence a lot. And so what was the next step after you meet Lexx, right? You guys hit it off. You're making videos together. What was the next? When did YoungLA come to picture? Like, what was the next big break that you got?
So I always had this passion for Gymshark, and because I kind of like came up in that time period of where Gymshark wanted to be a Gymshark athlete, like that.
Everyone's fucking obsession at the time.
It was crazy. Like that passion is unmatched. Like I don't think people understand today like what it was like to just like pursue that. And that passion kind of transferred into, because Gymshark was going through this weird like woke era, and they were just getting really political. And then YoungLA was just like the new kid on the block, and like they were just cool. Like, oh, we don't care, whatever you want to say, like whatever, we're good. Like we just make clothes. And Lexx was with them, and like I had like worn some of their stuff, and I was like, this is sick. I really like their like how they operate, and I think Lexx put in the good word kind of with YoungLA, and they're like, oh, we'll keep tabs on them, and they like didn't say anything for a couple months, but then I started to see them like view my stories sometimes, and I'm like, oh, all right, well they got the eye out for me.
Were you like tagging them and wearing the clothes?
Yeah, I didn't like overdo it, but like I would do it, and then I post a bunch of stories of like me being myself like afterwards.
Just wearing it?
Yeah, and
not
just
tagging
like,
them though?
Yeah, and then not tagging them. And I think I had like a hoodie, and then I needed a gym bag, so I had a gym bag with them. And yeah, they eventually DM'd me, and they were like, yeah, like we want to work with you. And that was just like a sick feeling. I saw the video of me being like, yo, what? Like YoungLA hit me up. And that was like, it's just crazy. That was such a different time period. I think that was like a year after I got sponsored
21?
by Gorilla. Yeah, it was like probably fall of 2021.
Yeah, 21 was kind of like the building era when they were like really they were going out and like starting to collect guys.
Yeah.
And, like, put a real team together. So what was that like?
It was cool because like, you know, it was sick with Gorilla, but it's like being able to actually like represent and wear the clothes, because YoungLA or Gorilla didn't have any like merch or anything back then. So it was like cool because bro, I remember the first day I walked into the gym as like a sponsored athlete, bro. Like there is no better feeling. I went and like deadlifted with my buddy, and I had like the sweatshirt on and like the pants and stuff, and I just like, I don't know, I felt like awesome. It was just cool to see like my dreams become this like physical thing that I could actually like wear. And I just knew that YoungLA was gonna blow up even bigger from where they were at. I think they had like 100K followers or something, and now they're at now they're at like 1 point something, right?
5.
Yeah, which is crazy. And I knew that was gonna happen. It just felt cool to be able to like grow with two brands, like because Gymshark was kind of already established, and it was just cool to like be able to grow with Gorilla and YoungLA at the same time, and be like this like, I didn't really have my stuff established either, so it was like we were all growing together.
Well, I think that's the thing with, like you said, putting the clothes on, you felt this like feeling of representing something.
Yeah.
I think that's the future of like everything is community. That's something that I'm trying to work on now, is like, because that's something that like AI can't take away. That's something that like, if you could build a community, right? That's why like people say followers isn't everything, but kind of is. Like if you could build a giant following of people that truly fuck with you and like support you with a code, and that's what really matters to me. Like my next step is to build some type of community of people that all like the same shit, like creators or videographers, photographers, and like build inside that community, into that niche. And I just feel like, I don't know how to explain it. I just feel like that's something that's going to be long term. Like you can only go so far by yourself. You can only go so far like trying to build something alone until you get to the point where it's like, all right, like I need people around me that all fuck with that have the same vision, and shit like that.
Well, because you need that. Like I feel like just as a human being, you need that sense of community around you.
Yeah, I don't. It's good to isolate. I love isolating myself, and I feel like I get my best work done. And I'm really like honed in on what I want and my goals and shit. Then like you kind of put yourself around people that are also doing the same thing, and you're like, oh, I feel even better in this environment. I feel even, because I got a buddy named Brian. He's moving out here, and we like do the same shit. He's like a videographer, photographer. He has a podcast. Like when I'm with him, I feel like fucking. I feel like a different person in a good way. Like he brings out the best out of me, and I feel like that kind of what you felt when you got connected with like Lexx and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just cool because another one of like my best friends in the industry is Gabe Deutsch, and I met him the second time I came out here, and when me, Lex, and Gabe like all combined, it was just like a cool experience, and I think that it was really special because that's when those YouTube videos were the first videos that I ever had that like surpassed 10K. I think it's still one of my best videos. I made this deadlift one with us three, and it has like maybe like 50 something K now. But that video hit like 20K in like a week, and I'm like I said, I've never blown up on anything really, and that was like my first taste of like actually hitting the algorithm, and it was just cool because Gabe. I could really just relate to him in terms of like I would say something and he'd be like, bro, I had the same thing happen growing up and like all this stuff, and it was just cool. For the first time I felt like, wow, this person like thinks the same way as me. This person like understands trauma the same way I do. Yeah, and it was like we had that same sense of passion towards like just lifting weights. Yeah. You know, for some people it's just a hobby, but for some people it's like a way of life, and that's how it was for me and him, and it was just cool to like talk to somebody like that. And same with Lexx too, but it was just cool because me and Gabe had just met and like just hit it off like emotionally like that so quickly. I think like we just made a good trio because we all like balance each other out real well, and that was like, yeah, it was just a cool thing because he helped me really open up to the camera a lot more instead of just being this like funny being. And because he would say like, bro, you're so much more deep than like I've seen you on social media. Like, bro, you should just start talking about that stuff like in the car or like,
it was like
wherever.
Our conversation going to Palm Springs. Like I've only known you just from like conversations we had at shoots and shit like that. But like it's kind of cool when you let your guard down a little bit and you talk to somebody. And then you're like, oh shit, like
this person.
We kind of got like similar stories, like it's kind of his family situation, like, and that kind of brings a whole new opportunity with that person, and like that's how you build community. You find people that been through the same things as you, like the same things as you. And I think it's kind of the hardest thing when you're starting out is trying to find those people, but it takes like, I guess trial and error you can call it, like going out, working with people, meeting people, and there's gonna be a lot of people you meet that don't reach those expectations for your best interest and like someone that could be in your community. But then eventually when you find those people, it's like the feeling is unmatched.
Well, because we were talking about too, like you come out here and you meet people that are like, hey, like let's collab, like let's do this, whatever, and you realize they just want something out of you, and there are people like that, and that's just the way that some people are. They just want to get something out of you, and they're here to just grow or whatever. But then, like you said, you find people that you really can connect with, and that's I want to be around people obviously like that. I think most 10 out of 10 people want to hang out with people that are actually like a deeper human being that actually care about you as a person and not who you are on social media. Yeah,
well, that's another reason why I say it's important to don't be afraid to share your story. Like I didn't think I was interesting enough. I think I said this in my last pod. I didn't think I was interesting enough to like to be somebody. You know what I mean? To like,
I feel the same way.
Just to be someone that people give a fuck about.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck am I? I'm this guy from New York. I do construction. Like I like taking photos and videos, and like that ain't cool. Like the people I look up to do like cool shit. They do crazy shit. They got big followers. They go on crazy trips. I'm like, I'm just a fucking average dude. But that was what my, like, the key to the door was for me to get into this lifestyle, was just putting myself out there and sharing that story. And then all these people are like, oh shit, Joe's super relatable.
Yeah.
I'm in his position. Like, it's so crazy to see where he's at now. And I think that's just the hardest part. So, like, what advice do you have for somebody that feels that way, that's in that position? Like, I'm not cool enough. I don't have enough followers. Like, I don't think my life's interesting enough to be somebody on social media, or just in general, like to take your life to the next step. Like, what advice do you have for them?
I mean, I think you have to understand that those people that you look up to aren't really that special. Like, they are, because they are an individual, but they aren't special in the matter of fact that it's like, they're not any different from you.
Yeah.
They just have done things that have put them in the position that they're in, and you just haven't done those things. So once I started to break it down like that, because it just seems like these people are like out of reach. It just seems like, oh, I can never do that. Like, I could try, but like, will I ever even really do that? But then you have to understand that those people also have that thought process of like, I want to be great, and like, it's scary and I feel like I can't do it, but I'm just going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
And I think just doing it even when there's no light at the end of the tunnel, but just that pursuit of you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, that's what creates success. Is that I think when things are the hardest, or there's no outlook, or there's no clear vision of like, okay, if I just do these things, I'll become successful. I think that's what makes people actually really successful, is because because most people will see no light at the end of the tunnel, and then they're like, I'm just going to turn around because this is not going to work out. Like, I don't think it's going to work out. And then they're actually defeated by themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas if they just continued to go forward, they probably would have made it. And not that everybody can just go do these certain things and then make it. Obviously, there's some people that have certain things that other people don't. But for the most part, I think there's like this elimination process of people with their mentality of like, well, it's easier to go to school and like have the teacher tell me what to do. And then at the end of this 4 years of doing that, I get a degree, and then I get a boss, and then this boss will lay out all this stuff in front of me. And then if I do this, 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 and this, I'm guaranteed this amount of money. And I think it's comforting, and it's easy for people to do something like that. And not that that's the easy way out. I know there's really tough jobs, way tougher than this. But for you to be like, okay, I got to get up in the morning and I got to just make shit happen out of nothing. Like, you came from New York, and you got here literally by just somehow making and creating this tree of these little decisions and pathways of taking pictures for people. And then this person's like, hey, my buddy, he takes pictures. You want to like just have him snag a few photos of you? And you're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Oh, these are sick. You know, and then bam, like just something as little as that can like happen, and you probably did it for however long before it ever like took off or it became lucrative.
Yeah, or sort of like, saw any money from it.
Yeah.
I think it's a long journey of how do I word this? Like short-term sacrifices you make. And I think I heard this the other day on a podcast. It's like, get comfortable saying no to a lot of things. I think that's what people don't do a lot. It's like, get selfish. Not in terms of where you like ruin relationships and shit, but like, you got to get selfish and learn how to say no, because by you saying no to a lot of things, you find yourself doing the things that actually matter way more. And I think that's something that's
so true.
I became like a beast at. I was saying no to everything, bro. Like, yo, let's go here, let's go there. I did my bodybuilding prep. That really taught me a lot about like discipline and like just like consistency, hard work. Like, the things I learned from bodybuilding actually like transfer over into my real life. So I'm very grateful for that. People don't even know that about me, that I was like, that's how I got into this shit, was bodybuilding. But like, yeah, dude, saying no a lot more will open up a lot of doors for you in the best way possible. And I think that those short-term sacrifices suck because you don't really see a return on them. You know, like doing free shoots, or like spending money on a camera when you don't really got it. Like, bro, I dropped like $3,000 on an 8-7 III back when I was like, back in like 2019, whatever it was. I remember my mom came downstairs because she got the notification like on Amazon, like her account was like linked. She was like, "What the fuck did you just buy?" I'm like, "Don't worry." I'm like, I need this camera, because that's when I was like ready to take the next step. So I was like, I got to get the camera. And now looking back, it's like, fuck that money.
Yeah, exactly.
I made it back. Like it didn't like put me in a hole or like take me like in debt or like. But at the time, yeah, it's fucking crazy. But like, bro, you got to do shit like that. And yeah, I think, that whole saying no to a lot of things might go over some people's heads, but like when you're in situations, hopefully you'll remember me saying this and you'll be like, actually, no, I'm not going to go there. I can't go on that trip. I can't do this because you got to lock in.
It's so true because it's like, I actually just talked about that in my last video because I found myself, like, I'm a yes man. Like, I'm like a people pleaser, and that just, obviously, it makes people like a lot, like really happy or whatever and like pleased with you. But then like, it hurts yourself so much. And I got to this point where I was just like, because I'm alone out here, so like I'm isolated, and I've had a lot of time to like really like think about like things that I need to work on as an individual, and that was one of them. And I'm like, the key to that is really just saying no more. Like, if you're a yes man, obviously like the opposite is saying no more. And it's not like you got to be a dick, but it's just like you got to look at a situation, and if somebody's like, hey, like, can you do this for me? And you know that like you're like either uncomfortable with it or you're just like, you really don't want to do it, say no. Because after you say yes, you know that like you have this like weird feeling in your gut and you're like, oh, I really don't want to do this. Like, this is just like not it. And I could be doing something else, but here I am like doing this for somebody that's probably wouldn't even do the same for me. So saying no is just like a really big thing, especially when I was in high school. You know, I get invited to these parties and all this stuff, and I would go to a couple, and obviously balance is really good. But the more I started saying no and like going to the gym on Friday nights and all this stuff, I really realized how much progress I was making, especially just when you're that young and like you're a man and your testosterone is just like at an all-time high. Like 16, 17 years old, I would go to the gym like all the time, bro. I'd wake up, especially when I was playing hockey. I'd wake up. I got to this point with hockey where I had a really bad relationship with it. Like, my dad was pretty much forcing me to play, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And it was kind of just like, you're living under my roof. Like, who cares? It's going to set you up for like a better future or whatever. And he just didn't understand social media and that stuff. But at the time, it just sucked because I get up at 7:30 in the morning, go to school. School would end at like 3 o'clock. And then I go straight to the rink, which is like a half an hour away. Go to practice for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then my gym was in the complete other direction of the rink. And I would drive from the rink straight to the gym, like just, and like take double scoop pre and go right to the gym, and just, it would probably be like 8 or 9 at night or whatever by the time I got there.
Day's over.
And and like, I haven't done any homework. I haven't even been home. And I would go to the gym and have these like, I don't even understand those workouts, but I would just go balls to the wall, like just pure passion, like lifting, just because the love of it, and just because there was so much like trauma going on and just like my teenage boy's mind, that like the gym was my only escape. It even is now, but it's like back then it was just, I wasn't even doing it for money or for anything. It was just pure like headphones on, like locked in and just grinding out whatever workout I was doing. And then I get home, I wouldn't do any like homework or anything like that. Not recommending that if you're in high school, but my grades really suffered. And then I would probably eat like a meal, try and like stuff a bunch of calories in, and then go to bed and then wake up and then do it the next day. And I'd have like horrible sleep because of the pre, and that was my life for a little bit. But I feel like doing that, I started getting all these allegations in high school. Oh, like Steph's on steroids, like Steph's whatever, this, that. Like I had this little ego thing because I was so pissed because I'm like not doing that. And fitness wasn't really like as trendy as it is now. Like there was no TikTok or any of that stuff back then. So it was like really, really niche. And then especially when I started posting, like it was just bad because I was really strong and like I have really good genetics. And so I blew up with those newbie gains, and people just thought I was on stuff. And then like it was like a good feeling and a bad feeling because I'm like, oh, like all these eyes are on me or whatever. But then at the same time, I'm like all these eyes are on me, and like I'm not actually not doing this, and it's frustrating because it's like I'm putting in all this work. I'm
like
spending my whole entire day.
It's like discredit. Like, dude, you guys have no idea how hard I'm working.
Exactly.
I'm saying that.
Like you're the same one that on Friday night you're going to those parties, and then you wonder why I'm not there. And where's Steph? Oh, he's too cool to be here, or whatever. But then you wonder why I look the way I do, and then you don't. And it's like people don't understand that it's sacrifice, and that goes with like a lot of things in life. I feel like, just like, and then when I started doing this, same thing. You know, my friends started going to the club and like all that stuff. Once we got into college, and I had to say no. Like a lot of the times, I remember this one summer where I really saw a lot of my growth. It was the summer of 2022, and I started grinding like 2 videos every week, and that's the first time I had done that intensity of creating. And I'd post on Instagram probably every day, and that's back when like you could just post like,
you're with
pictures.
Gorilla and YoungLA at this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was just the consistency, and like the algorithm really liked it, and you could just post photos and they would hit the explore page like crazy. Like their reels, I don't even know if it was a thing back then or they weren't really like pushing reels. And I just started seeing like a lot of results, and then I got addicted to like seeing that, and then that motivated me even more. And then like my friends would be like, oh, come on, we're doing this. And it does suck because like I love my boys, and it sucked like missing out on some of that stuff. But at the same time, I look at my success and I really feel like it's worth it, especially in the long run.
How do you feel now that you've moved away from your friends and family? Do you still feel, I don't want to say like do you still feel like it's worth it, but do you feel like you're doing enough right now to make it worthwhile for yourself?
Well, one thing about me is I really feel like I'm never doing enough, but I think right now it's just like I've only been here for 2 months, and 2 months is a good amount of time, but I'm trying to like get in my groove and like figure out like my routine out here. But back then, like I had my gym, I had my buddies, I had my like cameraman. It was literally just my bro, and I'd give him like free Gorilla and YoungLA, and he was like, cool, like let me shoot you. Like I'd tag him and give him good exposure and that kind of thing.
That's dope.
And I'm like, dude, I'll pay you. And he's like, nah, bro, just give me like Gorilla and YoungLA. So he like, it's cool to have like people like that around you. And like out here, obviously you got to pay freaking $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month for a cameraman, and like I got all these other expenses, so I'm doing most of it myself, or like Lexx will help me. And it's definitely like it sucks being away from my family and especially my boys, because like I feel like I'm really grounded at home, and I think a big part of me is just like how you said about like you don't feel like you're special, quote unquote, but that's what makes you special, is that like you're just so humble to the point where people like can relate, because they're like, oh, like this dude doesn't think he's hot shit. Like, wow, that's somebody I can actually relate to. And not that I feel like I have this ego out here. It just sucks because I miss being around like people that were just around me because they just fuck with me, and not like has literally zero anything to do with social media. And yeah, it sucks sometimes just thinking about like how I used to be out there in my routine. But I was getting to this point out there where I started to like not even feel like myself, because I had this back injury, and I just feel like I really needed this big change in my life, and I'd known for a while that I needed to move. And Lexx has kind of been my mentor for a lot of things in the social media space, and he's been telling me I need to. And I'm definitely glad I did it, because I've grown as like an individual, just being on my own. Like I'm literally as far away in the country. I mean, from New York, like you're end to end in the United States, from California to the East Coast, and it's been nice to just be able to like really like find myself a little bit more and like really think a little more intrinsically.
Yeah, I've definitely found myself, but I find myself still like I'm waiting for that return where it's like, all right, I did all these sacrifices so I could do things like take care of my family, and like not that I don't, but like not at the scale that I want to yet.
I feel the same way, yeah.
Like I want to like pay my mom's rent. I want to like do all these things that I could do now, but obviously I'd be like kind of affecting myself, and like she understands that too. She's like, no, right now you're working on yourself, and like I guess I got to stop putting a time frame on like when that's gonna happen. Just know that I'm in the place where it's gonna happen. Like this is what I had to do this is what I need to do in order to make that come to fruition eventually. You know what I mean? I guess that's just the tough thing. It's like you make a lot of sacrifices, and you'll see some cool outcomes from it, like new apartment, but like the big goals, they take time, bro. And I'm really trying to be patient, you know, like with that, and like really embrace the grind. Like we said, I think we had this conversation in cars, like we made it, right? Quote unquote, we made it. But like, no. I almost feel like I haven't got anywhere yet, because the things I want are like beyond this. They're beyond an LA apartment. They're beyond like these things that are kind of materialistic, and like working for YoungLA and like all these things that seem so flashy and cool to the people outside, and like I'm over here like I'm just trying to get my mom a house.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yep.
It's tough, bro. It's like is that imposter syndrome? Not really.
That's what I was gonna actually say something about that. Is
people talk about that so much these days.
Yeah.
Like everybody talks about it.
It's real. Like especially when I bought my car. I have a Corvette, and I got it when I was 20, and I just like really struggled. I didn't post about it for like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks after I got it, just because of the fact that like, and I've been talking about it in my YouTube videos. I'm like, one day I'm gonna have one of those. Like one day I'm gonna have one of those. And then when I finally got it, I was just like, I felt like this weird. I was like grateful, but at the same time, I'm just like, wow, like I could be using this money to like support my mom or like other things like that. And like even to this day, I still feel like that. I still feel like, should I just sell my car and just like not have a car payment, and I'd have all this extra money that I could just be giving to my mom or something like that. And I battle with that like still every day. But when I first got that, I was just like, it just sucks because I've always felt like pretty humble and like not really like I don't need anything to impress anybody. And then obviously getting that came with a lot of stuff. Like Lexx had told me, I forget what he actually said verbatim, but he said something along the lines of like, if you want to like find out who really doesn't fuck with you, buy a really nice car. And it really made a lot of sense once I got my car, because I got a lot of like positive support, like the people that actually really fuck with me, like my followers, and wanted to see me win. But like most people don't really want to see you win. Like they want to like watch and see and like maybe see you fail, but they really don't want to see you win. And I had people saying like mommy and daddy's money, and like little did they know, you know, my parents didn't pay $1 for my car at all, at all. I had my dad co-sign, and then I PayPal my dad the car payment because I couldn't get a loan. I had no credit when I was 20. Now it's fully in my name, but it just like kind of sucked, like seeing that on top of already feeling like an imposter. But it's just like, that's just what comes with like stuff like that. Even like moving out here, I was just like, wow, like I really have my own apartment. Like I'm living out here.
I live in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And I've always just like, I'm just Steph. Like I don't really feel like I have like these things. And like some people will tell me like, bro, it's crazy. Like you got this car and you're living in like this LA apartment, like whatever. And it almost like feels good though too, because I'm like, it refreshes me like, oh wow, like I actually have gotten somewhere, even though like, not that I'm scraping by, but it's just like, I'm not making the amount of money that I feel like I need to be right now. And that like sucks too, because it's like, oh, I have these things, but it doesn't really feel like I have them, because it's like, I'm not just like my car could blow up and like I could just be like, ah, yeah, whatever. You know, like if my car blew up right now, like that would put me out. So it's like, yeah, just things like that. You really, in this type of space, you really feel like that. Because like, especially being on social media, you're putting your life out there for everybody to like point at.
It's something you like, you sign up for this, bro. Like it's part of the lifestyle that we chose, is being on social media. And like, I saw something the other day, it's like, everyone posts their wins. You know what I mean? I think that's the problem with social media, is like everyone's posting, not everybody, but 95% of content is like people's their best fit, their best look, their new car, like their money, like whatever, their trips, their dinner, like they're posting the best of their life. You know what I mean? And I think if all day that's all you're consuming is other people's best, whatever they're doing, it sucks, bro. You start comparing. You start like looking around your life, and you're like, fuck, like I don't have what I want yet. And I think that's another thing with social media, where you gotta take a step back and be like, all right, everyone is posting things that they want people to see, but you obviously know behind closed doors people have their own issues. No one's perfect, and we could both attest to that. Like
100%.
People look at me like, oh, dude, you're doing so well. And I'm like, yeah, but I still do have stress. I still do, like, you know, I get depressed. I have like these thoughts where I question myself about like what I'm doing. And I think it's tough with social media nowadays. Have you found like a good, like, I think we spoke about this, like going home, right? You talk to your friends and like you kind of feel normal again. I know it sounds insane to say, like feeling normal, but like it does suck that in this industry, a lot of conversations are transactional and it's very like work related and
Exactly.
you kind of, it's like really nice to just have a conversation with someone that's just about like life. Like,
That's
bro,
like,
how you been? Like, you see
yeah.
the Giant game? Like,
Yeah.
it almost feels weird to
Yeah,
have a
you're
normal
like-
conversation.
What are you trying to get out of me by asking me about the UFC fight
Yeah,
that just
UFC,
happened?
what do you mean?
Yeah. That's what I feel like when we took the trip to Palm Springs and we like finally got to talk, it was like, I was just really in need, especially of somebody that I could like actually just like kick it with and just like talk about, like shoot the shit about just like stuff that doesn't even have to do with what we're doing. And that was like really refreshing. And like I said, with my boys, it's just nice to be able to go back and like have that support system. And then my parents, like they're really supporting. You know, I had that back injury that I mentioned, and it put me out for like a year and a half, and I'm just now like really starting to get back into like powerlifting and stuff. And I heard it deadlifting, and that really showed me how like black and white social media can be. And it really taught me like, wow, I really need to look into the future for things. And it really also just made me appreciate what I have, and I got closer to God through that. And yeah, I think like just really being able to lean on like my parents, my friends, and then also like even I posted this video and I talked about like my depression with my injury, and I had never like spoken about it, and I had tried to like almost cover it up because I was almost like embarrassed because I always felt like I portrayed this version of myself that was like always at its peak. My physique looked the best. Like I was strong, I was funny, I was always happy, like trying to lift others up. And I'd never really made any kind of content that was like super like, I like broke down and like teared up a little bit in that video. And that was the first time I was like that vulnerable. And I had like my dad tell me to do it because he's a coach and he knows like sports injuries and how they affect like mental health. And he was like, I think you'd really get a good response from that. Yeah. And I didn't want to seem like I was complaining, you know, because I'm sitting in a Corvette like crying about it. And I'm like, I just didn't really want to do that. But then I had like a lot of people in my life say like, bro, like I really think you should do it. So then I made this video and talked about it. And the response that I got from YouTube was like, I just really needed it at that time. And it was just cool to see that like so many people, one, could relate, and then two, were just there for me. Like you feel alone when you're going through a situation like that. Because I had been injured for probably around almost a year at that point. And it just felt like, okay, I'm never going to get better. It's been a year, like there's no shot I'm getting better. So this is kind of it for me. I was almost looking into like other jobs that I could do, bro. I was getting to that point. Like I was like full on like depressed because, you know, I was at pretty much the pinnacle of my growth. And then I got injured right at the pinnacle. And
that's how it goes.
It just shot me down, and like you realize, wow, like something like that can just get taken away from you in an instant. And it really makes you appreciate like everything you have. And now sitting here being like, I just deadlifted like 500 pounds like the other week, and I squatted 405 for like 2, and it's like slowly getting better. And it's like what we were talking about before. It's crazy because your problems then, like my problem right then, I didn't think I was ever gonna get better. And then now I'm looking back and I'm like, dude, like I wish I could just like put my own hand on my own shoulder and be like, dude, like just stick it out, you're gonna be all right. But you just don't know. Yeah. And that goes with like everything, is you're not going to always see that light at the end of the tunnel. But then in like a couple months or a couple years, you're going to look back and be like, dude, I was stressing over that. Like that's not even that big of a deal. Like,
well, as someone who's had like a million setbacks in life, it sounds crazy to say, but you got to embrace them.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say. It's easy to say it now. Like, but as someone who is like going through an injury, or you just lost your job, or like your girlfriend just left you, you somehow have to get a hold of your brain and be like, embrace this as part of your journey, part of like the longer journey. Because I look back, I'm like, when I quit my job and I was like jobless for a little bit, I was like, that pressure, that like stress I had was sick. It was so motivating. Like, yo, you gotta fucking work hard. You gotta fucking, or like, ex-girlfriend problems, right? Like at the time, like the world is just fucking crumbling around you.
I've been there.
And you'd think like, this is it, I'm done. Like there's no, you get through it and you're like,
What?
all right, I'm good.
I was
but
tripping.
like, I kind of needed that to happen because now
Yeah.
I got a different sense on like life and like relationships and shit. Injury. I've had terrible back injuries my whole life. When I was a kid, like playing baseball while lifting was the worst fucking mix of all time. Bro, I was in and out of the fucking chiropractor. Like I was just like, I couldn't go out with my friends. I couldn't drive. You know, it was like the simplest things in life were taken from me. Like, and then when I got back to life and I could drive again, I'm like, wow, I appreciate life. Like life is sick. I'm able to go for a walk right now. Like my back doesn't hurt anymore. So it's like this weird twisted thing where like you have to, no matter where you're at in life, like whatever, if you somehow end up in a bad situation or a hardship happens, which is gonna happen because this is life. It's not like
Roller
this.
coaster.
You gotta just try your best to fucking embrace it and try your best to like have a laugh about it.
Exactly.
I know it sounds fucking crazy. Try
Yeah.
to like have a laugh about it. Obviously there's like crazy hardships that happen, but like try to have a laugh about it and
So
try to
true.
just look at your life as a fucking Harry Potter book and you're just like 1/4 of the way through. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is just a little part of it. But that's just a nice little outlook I've been having lately when like I get caught up in something. Like just is just part of the fucking journey. So embrace it.
It's true.
Right. What was that?
It's true because like I feel like as human beings we're meant to endure pain, and pain is like, I mean, for me it's been one of the best teachers that I've ever had, and it's really shown me like I've always been able to connect the dots of like the best things that in life have come from pain.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, say like you break up with a girl, right? Or she breaks up with you and you're like heartbroken. And then you, instead of getting with somebody right away or whatever, you like spend that time alone and then you start working on yourself. If you were with this girlfriend, maybe you were like super comfortable and you wouldn't have ever gone down that path. And that's like what happened to me. I had an ex and I got my heart broken really bad. And instead of like jumping into another relationship, I was just like, okay, how do I make the absolute best version of myself like ever? And obviously I would use that like motivation in the gym. People think that's like corny or whatever, but it's like,
everyone does it, bro.
It's like people like whatever. It's like it got me a sick physique and made me really strong, and I could like use that to promote my social media and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, it worked out. And but I wouldn't have had that. I wouldn't have been gifted that opportunity, and that's like a word that I use a lot with when I'm explaining pain. Like you have been given this opportunity of pain because now you're going to be able to go through all these little things. And the same thing going back to like my back injury, I came to really appreciate like, okay, what is this teaching me? What is God teaching me? What good can come out of this? And it really showed me like the type of person I am, because there was a lot of times where I really just wanted to give up. And there would be days where I'd literally go to bed at like 4 a.m., wake up at like 1, eat, and then it was like almost winter time. So like it would get dark literally an hour and a half after I'd wake up. So I literally was Batman for like a good 2 months. And I was in this like state of just like repetitiveness. But then I didn't want to go to the gym. I was procrastinating, and the gym would close at this certain time. And if I got in before that time, then I could stay because it was like a 24-hour gym, but you just had to be there at that time. And at the end of the day, I would always show up at the gym, and then I started like really thinking about it, like why am I here? And like, why do I keep showing up? And it's because like, I'm not going to give up regardless of like what's going to happen. I don't want to do another job. I don't want to have another thing. Even though I've been injured for over a year, I'm just going to try every little thing that I can and hope it just works. And then eventually, I met this physical therapist, and I got Dr. Mike out here, and they've been helping me, and it eventually got better. But it's like you said about like laughing at it and making like light of the situation. Like I'd walk in there and I literally had to start from scratch. I took every single plate that would go on was never on the bar when I started out. I was starting with 135 and I added 5 pounds like every week. And just every week 5 pounds, and then I started like enjoying that process. At first I'm like embarrassed, where I go in the corner like where nobody could see me, and like I go when like nobody was around at the gym, and I would just do like I'd squat 135, And, I just look like that kid, like, why am I so big and I'm only squatting 135, whatever. And then I was just letting go of the ego. And I had met somebody in the gym and they had come up to me and they're like, kind of bragging about their maxes and stuff. And they're like, oh, what about you, bro? What are your maxes? And I was like, right now, about 135 squat, 135 bench, 135 deadlift. And he's laughing oh yeah, all right, bro. And I'm like, nah, that's what it's at. And that's what you got to do. You just got to make light of it and then understand what is this teaching you? What is this showing you? And now coming back to it, when I squat and I deadlift, I appreciate every second of it. I thank God, after I go deadlift and hit all my sets, I always thank God that I can be in this position because it almost feels like a miracle, the fact that I could even do that. And I'd had a comment say, hey bro, I really care about you and I've been going through the same back injuries as you, and I just want to stop you in your tracks and tell you you got to stop pursuing this dream of trying to PR on deadlift or whatever. You're going to get to a point where your back is going to break down again. I'm just trying to look out for your best interest. And I get what he's trying to say. Maybe it didn't work for him, but I literally had to lose my fucking mind to really understand that I'm just gonna have to be in pain, and that's what's gonna get me through the pain. It's actually funny. It's the thing that hurt me is the thing that's actually healed me by doing deadlifts, but just at a lighter weight. I feel a little bit of pain afterwards, but then my threshold for pain increases, and that goes with anything in life. You get this. David Goggins talks about it that callousing your mind, that applies to really everything, and just that's the physical embodiment of callousing your mind.
Yeah,
I think
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly.
Everyone's heard that, but I think that even after a hardship, the journey is still the best part, just in life.
Exactly. Yeah.
And where we're at right now, I still miss the journey that it took to get here. That's when I was at my pinnacle of everything. I was just fucking so honed in on life and wanting the best for myself, and I just even after a hardship, the journey is actually better because now you have an extra appreciation for what you're doing, your day-to-day life, basic things. And I think, bro, it's important to go through shit. You guys want to go through shit. I know that sounds pretty fucked up to say, but people who don't go through shit, people who don't experience things, they never grow, they never change, they kind of just coast their whole life on this plane. And that's to me, that's the most miserable life you could possibly live.
That's my biggest fear, bro.
My biggest fear is being average. My biggest fear is being in the same place I was last year, and you got to kind of just become obsessed with that. Be obsessed with putting yourself in new places, meeting new people, trying new things, and just experiencing shit, because that's the only way you're going to grow, because in that process, you're going to have your hardships. You're going to fuck up. You're going to do this, but that's all part of it. You're going to fail. You learn from your failures. The journey to get to where I'm at now was not easy, but everything that happened, like you said, it's like a tree. It's all right, this fucked up thing happened, but then from that I became this. I moved here. I did this. And it's fucked up to say, but bro, shit's got to happen in order for shit to happen in your life.
Yep.
So embrace the grind, embrace the journey, and just fucking don't hurt your back. All right, we'll try to wrap this up because my girlfriend's waiting.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're at. Pretty decently long pod, but
what is it at?
I can't read it, but definitely over 40 probably.
Yeah.
But we can definitely keep going, but we'll do a part 2 soon. You do live here, so.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
If you guys like this pod, let us know if you want to run it back. Maybe next time we'll do more of a Q&A type of thing where we could have some questions established and we just we run it. But all right, episode 2, the Recked pod. Thank you, Steph, for coming on.
Of course, bro. Thanks for having me.
Peace.
Peace.